right, got it now.
Okay, thanks. Okay, where am I at here? I got to click this on. Okay. All right, we'll call the NCAC Executive Board meeting, urgent board meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. One agenda item only today, and that's all we can talk about is the FEMA issue. But so that's all we'll talk about today. Only topic on the agenda. We have to limit it to that. So conflict of interest, everybody, I have no conflicts. We can just go down the line. Okay. Okay. You can just read. Okay.
Okay.
Alex and Nancy.
No conflicts.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. Let me get back to the agenda here. Okay. All right. So I think we tried to send out some reference materials for folks. I've read them, but I haven't gone back to them in a day or so. I've been doing other things. So I think the documents were, well, has everybody had a chance to read those that were?
Yes,
I
I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me look here. So, okay, the draft of the letter, that's what I'm seeing attached to this.
So I'd send you an updated draft of the letter, Mark.
Okay, right.
I have actually read that. Sorry, the one-page
Okay.
draft.
The updated.
Right now I have the one that was sent on the email, and I clicked the link.
Okay.
So if that was updated through the link, then yes.
No, I don't think.
What is it, Nancy? The one that I'm looking
Well,
at?
you said to wait till this morning, so I think.
Okay. No, yeah, I know. I just didn't know. So
Do you want me to share?
Yeah, that would be
I'm
great.
not able to add to that. I would have had to have sent it to Gary to add, which I can do.
Okay.
So everybody could have it, but I could share the screen.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay, so I had sent the draft to the bylaws subcommittee asking for their input, just to represent them in the meeting today. And Tom Sipe had some excellent suggestions. So let me see if I can share the red line version. Then I have a clean version. So you guys have the part that doesn't have the red in it. And
Okay.
so
Okay.
basically what Tom has here is he added a great thing about mentioning that, one of the intents of the lawsuit that's causing FEMA to do this is to bring us into this crisis situation is for protection of fish and wildlife and other environmental concerns, which of course we share in NESCON and in our vision and values statements. What Tom brought in is that basically by forcing this issue to be so quick, it could actually negatively impact our ecosystem and the very things that they're trying to accomplish through the lawsuit. So basically the red part is the sentences Tom added. And then I changed the part where we need to talk about what we do if we want to say anything about whether a delay is not possible, whether we want to try to choose one of the many negative options or not. That was just kind of up for discussion. So I don't know, Mark, did you want to go through a little background for people who are not familiar with this issue?
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of things. So I met with Sarah on Tuesday. Just Sarah and I met. This normal CAC meeting, Rand, about these first of the month things, was canceled. There's been a bunch of turnover in CAC chairs in other communities, and other communities are trying to come online with this meeting. So just Sarah and I met on Tuesday. And we talked a little bit about what's all of this. She was able to send us, I think, Nancy, this is sort of taken from her Tillamook Economic Committee letter that she sent to FEMA. And so some parts of this we've taken some parts of that into this letter. She said that there's a meeting with the Board of County Commissioners on the 14th, which is a week from the 14th is next week. Is that Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday, I think.
Thursday. There's a Board of County Commissioners meeting on Thursday. And at that meeting, Sarah's going to talk about the options. And she's going to explain some of the things that we know, but publicly to the Board of County Commissioners. And there's time for public testimony during that meeting. She thinks that by the end of that meeting, she may get a sense of which way the Board of County Commissioners are going in terms of a decision, but maybe not. So next week is really an informational meeting, a public informational meeting where the public can be present and make comments. Then on the 27th of November, that's a Wednesday, the Board of County Commissioners will meet, and at that meeting, they will make a decision about which option they're going to choose. And so, I think that the question for us is, I think we want to submit, in my opinion, I think we want to submit something for the meeting on the 14th from the community. And then after that meeting, we may want to, and we have until the 25th, which is a Monday, to submit another statement to Sarah that would be in the record on the 27th, if that makes sense. So we have two opportunities to submit comments, one on the 14th and one on the 27th. I think that if we choose to, use the bones of the letter that Nancy's done for this meeting, we may want a little different message for the next meeting after what we learn on the 14th, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what I learned. Kind of informational, no decision on the 14th by the Board of County Commissioners. You may get an inkling of which way they might be leaning or maybe not. And then the 27th, they do make the decision on which option they're going to choose. So, as I was talking with Sarah, I said, Sarah, I don't even know if we know what to write. I mean, I'm not sure that all of us grasp exactly how this has worked. And her letter was helpful. She also, I also found a letter from the Oregon Property Owners Association. And of all places, it was on Facebook. And it was a really good one-page letter that talked a little bit about why we are where we are. It was really a user-friendly document. And with the help of those two, and Nancy and I had a conversation this week just a little bit about what I had learned. And so I think that now we do have enough information, and the letter that Nancy's put together is a first letter, if you will, about our concerns. And as I was talking to Sarah on Tuesday, I said, just from the community standpoint, the concerns we have for property rights and how this could impact property rights, and the fact that we are environmentally aware and that we're not, we're not dismissing those things. She said those are good comments for this first meeting. So the second one, if we choose to submit for the second meeting on the 27th, I think we would probably insert more information. We'd have more information for that letter after that 14th meeting, I think, if that makes sense, about which direction we might really want to go. So I'll just stop there and people can ask questions or we can have a discussion so far.
So Gary, I sent you the 2 versions of the letter. Is it possible to maybe put a link in the chat so people can look at those?
Yeah, I was just about to do that. I already uploaded
Yeah.
it to the folder.
Oh, thank you.
It'll be there.
So I also ran the letter by Sarah and asked
Yeah.
her for any comment. She thought it sounded great. I pushed her a little bit on, could she give us some input on which of the 4 options, that there are, all of which are terrible. And I don't know if people
Yeah.
want to hear those 4 options again that the county has to choose, that FEMA has given us. If you guys want to hear those again, those are in some of the background material, but they're all bad. Anyway, she just said, I'm at a total loss. I don't know. They're all terrible. I can't even recommend one over another. So that's why I put that last sentence in kind of blue. Do we want to try to do that or do we just leave that sentence out at this point and just push for a delay? The other thing I think she had said before, and also that longer note that you had found, Mark, from the Oregon Property Owners Association, recommended sending letters to our legislators about this and urging them to try to get FEMA to delay this decision. And so I don't know if we want to talk about doing something like that, send letters to our Oregon senators and the representative for Tillamook County to urge them to advocate on our behalf. This is kind of a statewide issue. So I think one of the things you included in the packet is a letter from the governor also urging this, but it sounded like anything we could do as a body might be helpful. As a advisory committee to the county, I would imagine we could do that, but that was a question I also had for Sarah that I don't think she saw that one. I don't know if we can. I don't see why. I don't think they would object if we wanted to send something that's consistent with what they're advocating for. But that longer Oregon Property Owners Association article really crystallizes, I think, what the impact is going to be for people in Tillamook County, property owners, and throughout most of the counties in the state.
Yeah. Please review the 4 options. Please review the 4 options. Okay. I see that from Wyatt.
So what are the distinctive differences between the OPOC letter and our letter? Do they advocate a certain choice or do they have different points? Well, we have our community plan, which is kind of what we're quoting, but the OPOC letter, does it allude to other things or is it a similar? I haven't read that letter, so I don't know what it says.
Yeah, it's actually an
below.
economic development letter. I guess it doesn't list it.
Economic Development Council, EDC. I said EOC. It's EDC, yeah. And it's actually it's below the letter draft 2 of the clean copy, not the red line copy.
Oh,
The EDC letter is there.
Oh, I thought they were on both, but
Maybe it is on both of them, but I'm
Okay.
looking at it on that one. But
okay. So I get back to that. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I didn't scroll.
yeah, no, I didn't see it either, Rand. I was just scrolling down. So,
but it still doesn't list.
no, it doesn't list.
It's in. It's in this other one. Let me see here. Okay, so I have it in this other one. Do you want me to share?
Sure. Let me see here. I'm looking for the
I have
full
too much
option.
open.
Why it's asking about, let's see here, pathway.
Well,
fee.
let me just read it because I can't find it. So the first option is prohibit all new development in the special flood hazard area as defined by FEMA, which I think Sarah had mentioned in her presentation to us could be changing. And could also affect properties that are not in the flood hazard area if infrastructure is going through them. Number 2 is adopt a model ordinance developed by DLCD.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what that is, that incorporates the no net loss standard into local floodplain ordinances. 3 is require permit applicants to develop a floodplain habitat assessment documenting that their proposed development will achieve a no net loss, quote unquote, standard. And number 4 is do nothing, in which case really all permits stop from what I understand. So yeah, it's pretty serious.
yeah, none of the options are good. And Sarah also said that their FEMA is sort of, they're changing things. There are new developments even with FEMA as recently as 2 weeks ago. So I think they're probably fielding comments already from organizations, and they're sort of reshuffling some things. And I'm not even sure what that means, but Sarah said they changed some things just on us a couple of weeks ago that we're looking at. And so anyways,
The
yeah.
change in administration could have huge effects on this. If it's saying it's gonna stifle economic development, good
Mhm.
chance they may just replace all the FEMA functionaries, and I mean, it could all go out the window pretty easily.
Yeah,
I think with the new administration, this kind of goes against their develop and process everything you can for the next at least 2 years. Cut
yeah,
everything, drill, give economic development the priority. So it may go out the window pretty quickly depending on how effective or efficient
yeah.
administration is, which I'm not thinking that's their track record hasn't been very efficient.
And it's possible, but at the same time, it might be that, this is the result of a lawsuit where I guess FEMA had
Yeah.
delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And so
Yeah.
regardless of, I mean, there could be pushback from a new administration, but at the same time, I don't think we could count on it. And we're under this
Right.
December 1st
Right.
deadline to pick something. And then we have until, I guess, July to try to get it implemented. And, to hear Sarah, who does, she's been all over this now ever since they first heard about it and trying to get
Years she's been on.
answers, and to hear her say she's at a total loss on what to do. It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
My thought was very similar to Rand's. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months. But I was trying to figure out why in the world that they would speed this up so rapidly and give us next to no time to respond. And it seems to me that the clock is ticking, and all of the bureaucracies in the current administration are anticipating short term to make changes, and that may be the reason why that occurred.
Right.
So Mark, I don't know if you want to restrict things to public comment or not, but Tom Prohotic has his hand up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can, this is a pretty, I think we've already deviated a little bit from the agenda. We're not going straight down the agenda. So Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, well, first of all, I like the new draft of the letter, and I'm not sure but I'm not sure I would add the Senate should a delay not be possible, because we don't, I think we're gonna get some clarification from Sarah tomorrow about what these options are.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's changed since we talked to her a few weeks ago, but as of a few weeks ago, the best options seem to be, and maybe this is no longer on the table, having a moratorium for 6 months, let's say, where there was no permitting, which give us more time to come up with one of these three alternatives. Maybe that's no longer there. I don't know. But this really isn't. I mean, it's true that a new administration is going to impact who is in charge of FEMA and what FEMA does, but this is not being driven by FEMA. It's being driven by the litigation. And that as I understand it, the litigation started in 2009, and the environmental groups won, and which put FEMA in the position of having to comply with the edict of the court. And then it was, it's 15 years ago. And so 4 or 5 years ago, the environmental groups filed another lawsuit saying you're taking too much time. So they're really under a lot of pressure. I think the best that you can do is go along with everyone that says, please give us more time for exactly the reasons that you're stating, which is we appreciate, we appreciate the position you're in, but I like the letter, the section of the letter that deals with environmental concerns, because obviously that's, the people that won the lawsuit, or the organizations that won the lawsuit, that's what they're in this for. So that's just my 2 cents. I mean, it's not just, I agree that there's going to be changes in FEMA, but unless there are changes in the courts, and of course that's going to happen too, but unless that happens very, very quickly, the FEMA's under pressure that is probably intractable to get something done pretty quickly. And I think the best you can do is go along with everybody else and say, please give us a little bit more time.
Yeah, I think maybe you weren't there at the beginning. We actually have that in blue just because we wanted to have it up for discussion for this meeting,
right.
but I think I was leaning toward just what you said, Tom, and removing it, because if Sarah can't even point to a good option, or the worst, the least bad option, there's probably no point in putting that in.
I think you can keep it, and let's hear from her what is now on the table. I mean, when we had the special meeting, I guess now two or 3 weeks ago, her position was, I don't see what we can do other than have a moratorium on permitting for a specified period of time. Maybe that's not acceptable now. I mean, she's been in other meetings in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and the options may have changed. So
I corresponded with her yesterday, or was it yesterday, the day before yesterday, I guess, when we were, and she said then that she has no option. She's at a total loss. She cannot advise us on anything to put in that section. So,
well,
and I don't know that she's coming tomorrow. Do you know, Mark, if she's going to be there tomorrow?
She said when I talked to her, she said she might be able to show up. I think she said she has another meeting with another CAC.
PA Pacific City.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be nice to know. I mean, you can go back to the FEMA letter from July the 15th, and there's 3 options.
Yeah.
And of course, one of the options has always been do nothing.
Right.
That's option 4.
That's option 4. See what FEMA does. But as I understood it, and maybe it's part of one of the 3 options that were in the FEMA letter, you can have a moratorium for a period of time, which would, at least kick it down the road. But that may not, if she's saying that that's no longer a possibility, I'd like to know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of
It's
like it's kind of like the community plan. You put stuff forward that you believe would be the best thing to put forward, and then you get corrected by the teacher if they say, no,
right.
we can't do that, but at least it expresses our sentiment that a moratorium would comply. It would say, we're not going to do any more development for this period of time,
Right.
which complies with FEMA's request, in order to say then, and then she can say, no, they don't buy that. But at least we've said something, because the other options don't seem viable either.
Right.
So,
Well, you know, if it sounds to me, and you all know more about this than I do, but just listening to this conversation, having listened to Sarah in the past, there are a lot more important organizations and people in Oregon that are taking the same position, that are already writing letters. And
Yeah.
I'm not, I'd say more important, but you know, if the governor's taking this position, the governor's the governor, and we're the Nesquint CAC. So, you know, what you're doing here is you're saying, we support the concerns expressed in the letter by Jeffrey Jackson, you know, so we're basically taking, I think, the position that
Yeah.
everyone is taking. So at least all governmental entities,
Yeah.
and quasi-governmental entities. So I don't know what else you can do. You know,
Right.
it would be nice to know if, you know, and go back to a point that Mark made before, which is you may not, until you get to the November, and Sarah said this at the last meeting, the important meeting at the county level is in November the 14th.
Yeah.
Maybe you wait. Mark's point was you send a letter now, and then you revise it, you update it, you modify it, perhaps to, you know, if delay is not possible, then this is the option we choose, or we choose mass suicide,
Yeah.
because it is truly a mess.
Yeah, it is.
And it really does. I'm surprised that I was surprised at the last meeting that there weren't more people from Nesquin involved. I haven't had a chance to rally people because I've had other things going for the last few weeks. But there's a big chunk of Nesquin that's affected by this.
Mhm.
And whether people can get flood insurance, and so, but on the other hand, it's incredibly complicated. Anyway, those are my thoughts. I like the letter, and I
yeah.
think I would at least run it past the membership tomorrow. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with really everything Tom said. I'm going back at my notes here that when I met with Sarah on Tuesday, and I was writing pretty quickly. I'm trying to decipher what I wrote here, but she said some of the items, depending on, you know, and this may be in all three scenarios, but she said this is going to affect water and sewer infrastructure. She said riprap, how to install or maintain it. Just maintaining it falls under these new rules, and they're restrictive. And she said in the mapped area of flooding, creek erosion along the creek, that's going to be affected. You can't just do whatever you want in terms of the creek erosion as well. So there are, and those are just some of the things I caught as she's going down her list. She knows all these off the top of her head, and she's whipping through them, and I'm writing as fast as I can. But those are some of the things that she said. And she just said permitting is an issue. And so it really does come down to sort of property rights, in some respects, even how your latitude to be able to protect your property, and how free you are to do that under these FEMA regulations. So, but to be honest with you, I agree sort of with what Tom said, which is that this first letter, I would say, is just, give us more time. We agree with what other people are saying. We understand that it could impact our community greatly in so many ways. And see after the 14th which way they might be leaning. And then a second letter might have to be, for that 27th meeting, this is what we choose, and
So,
it might be the same thing. It might be give us more time, I don't know.
so Tom Sipe has his hand up, and I just want to say again for
Okay.
those who joined us later that Tom is responsible for the red line in the red line version.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge improvement on the letter because it does speak to the environmentalists that created the suit that, hey, this could be actually doing more damage by pushing us so quickly. Anyway,
Go ahead, Tom.
you're muted, Tom. We're not hearing you. You're not muted, but we can't hear you. Now you're muted.
Yeah, I think maybe it's a volume issue. Like turn your volume up or something.
Nope. No.
No. There. Oh,
Nope.
well,
While he's working with that, Mark, when you
Yeah.
say that permitting is an issue, can you clarify that?
Well, as I understand it, you're going to have to, let's say, I'm just going to read from my notes. If you're wanting to increase the riprap or you're wanting to maintain the riprap, you can't just hire somebody to go out and do that. You've got to go through the county and follow FEMA rules to be able to do that. And I don't know if that means a permit to do that or an environmental study to do that. I don't know, Michael.
well, it's actually still the beach, the state is the one who
Okay,
regulates
Okay,
riprap.
yeah, so somebody will have to go through some hoops with under the FEMA regulations to do that.
Yeah,
Do we have Tom yet?
Well, let's see, does
There
that
you
work?
are.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back.
I have to step away for a minute.
Oh, now it left again. What the deal?
yeah, while he's
We're
gone.
hearing you,
Tom,
Tom.
Tom, you're muted again.
Your
We
microphone
lost
isn't
you.
muted, but we lost you again. Can't hear you.
Maybe if you mute your video, because that's when we were hearing you.
Connecting
Maybe
to-
take off your headphones or.
Try that.
No.
There you
There
are.
you
There
go.
you
There
are.
you go.
Okay,
You're back.
They
talk
gave me-
quick.
Delete the blue line. Now I'll support that statement.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
it weakens our argument.
Yeah.
If we have an option, and this first letter especially should be exactly what we want, rather than, well, we want this, but if we don't get that, then we could live with this. I think we should be very forthright and delete the blue sentence.
Oh.
Now that was easy, wasn't it?
Thank you.
To Michael's point, I understand from the last meeting that virtually any activity that affects property,
Mhm,
including working on decks.
mhm.
I suppose if you're doing work remodeling inside your house, it might not be affected, but anything that affects property, moving boulders on your property, you have to, if you have to get a permit, and most of the time you should get a permit, it's going to be affected by these rules.
Right.
And I mean, I can't remember all the examples that she gave.
Felling a tree.
Right.
Yeah.
That all the examples that she gave, I was going, really?
And it wasn't necessarily, it depended on the option that the county went with,
Yeah.
but it wasn't necessarily that you couldn't do it, but the kinds of hoops that would have to be jumped
Right.
through could be very,
Well, you
very
have- you
expensive to
have
get
to
all
s-
these studies done and
Right.
that kind of thing to assure that there's no environmental harm to these
You
16
have to be-
species of fish and other
the
wildlife.
county has to show that it's complying with FEMA's
Right.
rules,
Right.
particularly on mitigation as it relates to permitting. And It's like, like I said, it's a train wreck. I really applaud Sarah for having, she's one of probably the most important county people in the state on this issue and spending all of her time on it.
Well, she's done it nationally. She's gone to the
Yes.
national convention and approached Jackson and said, doesn't square. We're very environmentally conscious in our county. We have great protections for the salmonids. We have very active watershed councils, so this doesn't fit our model. So she's gone right to the top for months now.
And Michael, if you go back to the FEMA meeting on whatever day it was, October the 14th, whenever, and you listen to, it was probably an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes, listen to the first part of it. It's pretty daunting.
Yeah. Gary has his hand up, Mark.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I kind of understood the penalty aspects of it. So the only teeth that the FEMA really has is to revoke flood insurance. And so my understanding that revocation would be countywide. So if any one individual violates something, then it kind of ruins it for everybody in the county, or is it just for that entity or person that's doing, that's not following permitting and the regulatory guidelines? So I guess I didn't understand that aspect of it.
I think my understanding, Gary, is that I think is that if we chose option 4 as a county, which is to do nothing, I think then my understanding is that flood insurance wouldn't be permitted in the county, that if there was flooding, FEMA wouldn't respond, that if people had to get mortgages to buy a house and flood insurance was required, they wouldn't be able to purchase it. I think.
Well, when you say they wouldn't respond, you mean they wouldn't respond as the normal agency?
Right. I think that's what I've seen, Gary.
Okay, that to me sounds like that's so radical that's
right.
Their mandate is to help out people in an emergency, and they can't just derelict their duty by saying, well, you didn't follow certain rules, and so we're right. I mean, they're already under the fire so much as it is for not responding to hurricanes and other things. I think that would probably just continually, that would break them as an agency if that became public.
Yeah.
Gary, to
And
answer,
just to clarify, I do think they were responding to hurricanes. I think there was some fake news about them not responding to hurricanes. But anyway,
I know that I'm just saying that people think that they don't respond well.
I got to step away for just a minute.
To answer your question, Gary, I think it's the second. The answer is the second. The county has to show that it's complying with the rules. Whether an individual complies with those rules is a issue between the county and that particular issue, that particular individual. I guess if the county, didn't really follow the rules that it sets out that are in compliance with FEMA, then you might get, there might be some penalty or reprimand for that, but that the county has to comply. And then if people in the permitting process don't comply with the rules, then that's their problem.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
so regarding the letter, we have something in the chat. Sarah sounds great. Additionally, from Michael Bruner. Additionally, who is the most senior person in Oregon government that's looped in and assisting with this? Well, the governor has personally sent a letter. It's in the file that I believe Gary posted, right? Gary, for today's meeting or for tomorrow's meeting.
Yeah, it's in the folder that's linked in the meeting.
So he's been trying. It affects, I think, all but 7 or 8 counties in Oregon or something. So it's not just Tillamook, but Sarah said in our meeting that it affected Tillamook County almost worse than most, partly because there are a lot of fish coming through, I guess, and we're right there on the water. But I agree. Does anyone object if we take out the blue sentences in the letter? I just had that in there just so for discussion, but I think if we had anything, it would be the next
meeting.
meeting. And then
iteration.
does anyone disagree with presenting the letter as corrected in tomorrow's meeting for approval?
No, I don't
Yeah.
object. No. No.
And then could we plan today for the 27th, or do we need to set another board meeting so it's not urgent? We could
Yeah,
set
so
a
I
special
think,
board meeting to talk about the 27th.
yeah, so a couple of things. So yes, I think so. The meeting on the 14th, Sarah is allocating time for somebody to speak at the meeting, to read the letter. We can submit the letter, or we could read the letter publicly. It's going to be in person and virtual. And so I don't know. I mean, so to answer your question, I think we should do another meeting, but if we just walk through this after tomorrow, if the letter's approved by the membership, then I would notify Sarah that we have a letter, and I guess the question is, I'm going to be in San Francisco next week, and so I'm going to be away. I think I could read. I don't know if I could read it virtually attend the meeting and read it virtually. I'd be happy to do that. But also, if this group felt like somebody else it would be better to have somebody in person at the meeting to read it, that would be fine too. So that's a question, assuming the letter's approved, and what do we do on the 14th?
What time is the meeting, Mark?
I think
It's
Tom.
7
I wanna
p.m.
say 7,
Seven.
yeah, I want to say 7 o'clock. So that's one question, and I guess should we schedule another executive board meeting? I think the answer is yes, after the 14th, sometime, and we can schedule that today. And should we? I guess this is one of the things that we can talk about maybe tomorrow loosely at the meeting with the membership is, do we need, after the 14th, if we agree that we want to submit another letter for the 27th meeting, does the membership want to have another urgent membership meeting to approve that letter, to be submitted and that has to be submitted to Sarah on the 25th, which is a Monday.
Mark,
So, yeah.
I thought about that very question.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that the issues are going to be laid out on the table tomorrow, and people will be clear on what they are. And then I think it's appropriate simply for you to ask the membership for the executive group to simply move forward.
Okay.
With whatever comments come up tomorrow in mind, rather than have meeting after meeting after meeting.
Right. Okay.
I agree with Mike. I think it's going to be a little bit more flexible, give us more flexibility.
No, I
Right.
totally agree with you on that. I just didn't, I wanted to put that question out there. So
Good
Yeah, I
one.
think we could have a motion to give the executive board authority to
Right.
proceed
Okay.
for future letters. And I noticed we do have actually an executive board meeting scheduled for the 20th, so we might
yeah,
not
that's
need to
right.
do a special.
That's right. That's right. I forget.
Conveniently so.
We've had so many meetings, I can forget when our meetings are anymore.
I had to check.
And if somebody wants oversight on what the executive board is, the meeting is open.
Yeah,
So
that's
people like
true.
me
That's
can,
true, Tom.
so
That's
we
true.
don't need another meeting.
That's
Right.
true. That's true. Right. Okay.
So the only other question I had is the signature appropriate? So I just put from Mark with assuming we get it tomorrow, but with the approval of the membership. So I haven't seen any examples of comments that are provided by so maybe we need it historically, but it seemed like Mark would be the appropriate one as chairperson, or we just send it from the NCAC. If anyone has any thoughts on that.
I would think you'd send it with Mark's and say on behalf of the NCAC,
Yeah.
and so it just embraces the.
Yeah.
And that's what we did, so.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Mark, you sent something to the executive board and also to me
Yeah,
and maybe a few other people, these frequently asked questions about pre-implementation compliance measures from the Department of Land Conservation and Development.
yeah,
I would suggest you post that
okay,
now, and because it really, I was just looking through it. It's the first time I've had a chance, and
okay,
it's I think very, very helpful.
okay,
Because if Sarah doesn't show up tomorrow, then discuss what our options are. We're going to be kind of in the dark.
yeah,
This at least gives people some background. It's about 10 or 11 pages, 10 and a half, 10 pages really.
yeah,
And I think it's very helpful.
okay,
And I
Can
think
we-
we need to be prepared as part of the agenda tomorrow to go through what the options are and what their impacts are before we
Yeah.
even present the letter.
yeah. It's, yes, I think, so I sent that, the Oregon Property Owners Association, I think I just emailed everyone. Well, I didn't email Tom Prohodich or Tom C. I didn't email, I emailed the members of the executive board. And I don't know if that's something that it's a one pager that kind of highlights the impacts of the FEMA. It doesn't. So I don't know if folks take a look at that one maybe later. I don't know if that's one that we put up tomorrow as well. For information for the membership, but certainly we can do the one that Tom's recommending and put that one on. I don't know, Gary, if we can, I haven't looked to see which documents we have for tomorrow's meeting yet.
Yeah, I would suggest that everybody that's in this meeting who's obviously interested, including the people that have are just listening, that if you can post a link now to that
Okay.
so people could have it. I've got it. I'm looking through more of it. I think it's pretty. It does suggest that a moratorium is possible, at
Okay.
least as I'm reading it. But so that's at least a stopgap. But
So
it
What's
really
that one called? What
Yeah, what is
document is that called?
it's the
FE
Oregon Department of Land Conservation and Development frequently asked questions about pre-implementation compliance measures, dated October the 4th, 2024.
And what's the title on the document when you look up? I'm trying to see if it's already on the documents list.
Frequently asked questions about pre-implementation compliance.
So no, it's not there.
I
Yeah,
think
I don't know that I've seen that.
So that's one, I do think I sent that. I think I sent it to
Nancy,
all the executive
can you
members.
post it?
Yeah,
Oh, I know what you mean. Okay, thank you. Yes,
I think I sent it
you
because it
did.
came after our conversation on Tuesday. I sent it to the executive
Yes.
council, Tom and Guy, Tom Prohodich and Guy, because they are versed in this stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yes, you did. Thank you.
You're
So
giving
do
me
you want
too
me to
much credit.
post that in Google Docs
Like
folder somewhere?
it's almost impossible to be versed in this.
So do you want me to post that into the appropriate folder on Google Docs? I don't think I have a copy of that.
yes.
Can you send that to me?
Yeah, yes, I can, Gary. I'll have to, give me a minute to sort it.
That's
Yeah,
fine. We can,
I'll-
yeah.
yeah,
And then
Okay.
I'll update the letter and send you a clean copy for the folder for tomorrow. Maybe swap out the one that's already there.
Okay.
You do that right after the meeting.
And just to double check, so the time that we have in the meeting links for tomorrow is 2 o'clock, 2 in the afternoon. Is that right?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need to be finished by 3:45.
Is that kickoff?
Oh, probably 4:10. Particularly if we're going to have a vote.
Yeah, so we're gonna need at least two
Yeah.
votes, right? One is to approve sending the letter
Yeah,
and having somebody designated to present it, and two
Yeah.
would be to authorize the board to go forward with further communications.
right.
Not to offend Michael, I didn't wear my Oregon hat. I did have it on.
Well, Oregon's doing awfully well this year. As a Beaver, I'm still going to root for Oregon because you're representing the state awfully well. So
Well, I root for Oregon State too.
Yeah.
Well, actually, my affiliation was Oregon State there, Tommy.
Yeah, I know.
Right,
Well,
that's why I was deferring.
That's why I said I didn't wear my Oregon hat.
Yeah. And we're all in a series of painful times at Oregon State right now. So
yeah.
I thank you for your concern.
Yeah,
The Pac-2 is moving along, though.
I thought you've moved on from Pac-2 now. There are a few more teams, right? Oh God. Does anybody else have any comments about what they're hearing or thinking about what we're proposing here?
seems like the best path.
I think the community plan vision and values have helped to be able to, to put that in the letter, and
Yeah.
that we are concerned about the environment. I think, I think the one concern I have about the Oregon Property Owners Association stuff is it really lashes out at environmentalists, and yet I think we
Yeah.
share those values, and so I think that's one of the intents of the letter is to say we share the values, we just can't
Yeah.
go forward this quickly. It could actually harm the environment.
Yeah.
I think all of this is a very strong compliment on the NCAC and the organization in that we are really very much on top of all of this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be.
Yeah, it'd be tough to be scrambling to come up with something that cohesively represented everyone out of the blue.
Wow.
So it's a good thing our work is ahead of the curve here.
Or at least on the curve.
On the curve. Okay.
The envelope,
So who
More envelopes.
the envelope.
Mark, I think you could
Okay.
virtually represent from San Francisco, but it's your vacation. So if you don't want to, is there
Well,
somebody who would want to go in person? I'm guessing public comment by meeting BiOp quite late if it starts at 7 and all these entities are coming in to comment. I don't know how much interest there's going to be, but
Yeah, I can schedule to do the public comment from San Francisco. I'll have to confirm with Sarah and how that works. I can't remember. She might have even have said I don't know when the time comes for, maybe Tom's been to some of these, or maybe other people have been, and I don't know if public comments at the end. I would think
It's at the end.
it's at the end. Okay. So she did say I will allocate some time for the NCAC at that meeting. So
I'll go to the meeting, but I think that one of the officers needs
yeah,
to do it.
yeah,
And if that fails, then I could back up.
yeah. Okay. So I can plan to do the public comment that evening when I'm in San Francisco and get on, and I'll let Sarah know that, and so that she's aware of that. She kind of answers my texts now when I text her, so I can text her.
The motion could say the officer or their designee.
Yes, yep.
You could add
Yes.
that provision.
that's a good idea.
Yep. That's a good, yep.
And we do have a quorum of 15 for tomorrow's meeting, so hopefully everybody will show up for that and get the 15.
Right. So yeah, Gary will need 2 votes, it sounds like, tomorrow.
Okay.
One is, do you want me to email you later or something, or what they're gonna be?
That's fine. If you have specific verbiage that you'd like to see.
I'll put something together and then I'll email you also the link to that, or that, the FAQ.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I'll put that in the same email. So yeah, 2 votes. Yeah, I mean, you know, if I look at the meeting tomorrow, it'll be, I mean, it's pretty wide open, but it's going to be sort of sharing what the options are, in my belief. First, some education and some conversation around that, and then the letter, and then the vote. As I see it, is that what other folks are thinking as well? Am I missing something?
Second vote.
And
the
then
authorization.
and that's both votes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, okay. Well, I don't know, I think that's it for today then. So thank you, Nancy and Tom.
Yeah.
Your work on the letter, it's great. And we'll put that forward to the membership tomorrow. And I know there'll be a lot of I mean, it's really kind of it's a hard to understand thing. So I know that there will be some time for discussion about what it means. And so it's just going to be a discussion for the first part of the meeting, bringing some people, I think, up to speed on what all this means. And
You know, I really do think when you read the frequently asked questions, the way it's presented, there are links to other materials, including Tina Kotek's letter and letters that apparently have been sent by Congress. That gives you sufficient background to understand what the problems are.
Okay. Good.
Would it be worth having a link to the video of Sarah's presentation on October 12th too? In the meeting folder?
Yeah, might.
I don't know that anyone's going to go watch it, but it's there.
Yeah. Is that something you could do, Gary, or if you attach the?
So that would be the October 16th video.
I think that's correct. The STR was the other special meeting, and that was before the FEMA one. So I think you're right on that.
Yeah, I think it was that one. Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's available in the
It was October 12th. Isn't it?
October 12th.
Is it the 12th?
I think
No, I thought it was in the 15th or 16th.
Yeah, I think it was 16th. It was the evening of the 16th, wasn't it?
well, there was one on the membership. STR caps was on the September 25th, and then no, that was a general one. I'm sorry, I am wrong. Yes,
Yeah,
you're
that's
right.
The 12th was a Saturday.
You're correct. You're correct.
Yeah. I think the
12th was our general membership meeting, our regular one. Sorry.
that might have been the day of the Ohio State game, Oregon game. Okay, so all right. I think with that, I think we're ready for tomorrow. We'll see everybody at 2:00 tomorrow and get the meeting rolling, and try and get some, I think, some education and then some discussion, and then moving forward from there, I think, is probably how it's going to go. So thank you, everybody, for coming today. If there's no other comments, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting and see everybody tomorrow morning then.
Thanks all of you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
Mark.